Welcome to Uncaged, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we have Rossana Ricco-Rodgers on the show. Hi, Rossana. How are you?
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, Rossana. Rossana is one of the leaders of a very, very interesting company. She has many hats. We'll talk a little bit about that, but Rossana Ricco-Rodgers is the Chief Marketing Officer of Authena. She is also the food and beverages and luxury vertical leader for them, and she is also a board member. Authena is a fast-growing Swiss startup dedicated to protecting brands, products, and reputation against counterfeiting and product diversion. They use a combination of innovative technologies to offer a unique end-to-end framework to track in real time, verify product authenticity, and engage consumers with a simple tap of a smartphone. So making sure that what we think it is, and make sure that everything gets verified. Rossana, I'm excited to learn more about Authena, but before we get there, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career today.
Yeah, and it's very, very exciting because I'm an industrial engineer by background, and after 20 years really growing in a very big multinational, implementing ERP, and so combining the system with the processes, I really was looking for more, getting closer to the innovation and to the application of end consumer. So I met Matteo, the CEO of Authena, and I completely was fascinated by his vision of really giving to all of us and consumer a very easy tool to whatever we buy, is just to tap it easily and understand if it's authentic, and even more, understand where was produced, what kind of material were used, and really have a completely different experience about what we buy and where we spend our money. So for me it was perfect. Perfect because I had a very long cycle in the industrial industry, and then I could really. My husband said that I was almost the middle age Christ. I was ready to try really something new, fresh, different, and very exciting.
No, and I can see that what Authena is able to deliver, Rossana, is really powerful and quite important. So I'd love to hear more about how Authena works. You were outlining before the show just a sense of how you can authenticate products and kind of see where they're from and all of those types of things. And just it'd be great to hear more about what you guys are working on.
Yeah, and in the background, I think that you can see one of our presentation loop. In this moment, some of our team are in Dubai at the GTEX, the Tech Week, and we have been picked as the only, let's say, startup of big dimension in Switzerland to be under the Swiss Tech Group. It's what we do. I think that has become even more important with the pandemic, unfortunately, because we have started to collaborate also with pharma, with a big pharma company, and to help them really to solve problems that they couldn't solve before. And with Authena, we have a passive tracker. So even in big distribution chains in US, you have this blockchain working with to verify product in the supermarket also, and they work with the QR code.
Right.
Now, with all this COVID vaccination that have this passport on the QR, you understand why the QR code is not so robust anymore. And so what we do, I think that is quite powerful. So here, for example, I prepared one of our samples. So we developed this label. In this case, this is a passive one, so it's an NFC. near field communication that goes all under and across. And when you tap with the phone, you can understand if the product is original, or if it's sealed or unsealed. And
Great.
the moment that you open it, then automatically, or you even try to peel it off, you see that something is not really no more safe. And then at the same time, you have a lot of information regarding the product, because you can understand also better the product and what the producer has decided to publish. In this case, it's a wine, so you have a lot about all the wine. But in case of pharma, we have that the patient, they can get really their communication regarding how to use, the instruction that are always on this small, very
I think it's spectacular on two levels. One is a very functional level, literally just providing kind of basic information, like those things, like how you should take something or ingredients, but the story that it tells of where something is from, authenticating that, really becomes almost an experience for the brand, right? And so that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's quite powerful because, for example, another of the things that we are presenting in the GTEx is how we have combined the NFT that you see now in the background of, for example, very, very high niche, high-end fragrances with their physical, unique product unit. So we are preparing for Christmas, something that is very, very exciting, where there will be not only sales through the digital experience of these fragrances, but also through the authentication seal. When they will receive the physical box, they will be able, the consumer, they will be able really to match it, to understand that they are receiving an original. And then the brand owner will use the NFT really to drive a completely different brand loyalty experience for these only 100 lucky ones.
Yeah.
So I think that is quite exciting and quite, this is the application of fragrances. But then I was telling for pharma, there is an application that is not using anymore passive tracker, but active tracker. Means that one of the problems that they want to solve, and we are helping them to solve, is really to track, to identify the product diversion. So when drugs, medicine that are for really life-saving medicine that are meant and ordered for a country, they show up in a completely different country where maybe they can be sold at a higher price. So this is something that is naturally illicit, but also really endanger the life of people, because then all the inventory that is created for, I don't know, cancer, anti-cancer or treatment patient is at the end, they are diverted in another country where there are other people in need, but probably their system or even their government, they are unaware about this illicit route.
I mean, I think obviously the protection of the intellectual property has always been a challenge that we've faced, and products like this play a big role in helping solve that. But I do think that there is something, even just for the end consumer, where we now are in this age where everyone is very interested in where items come from, the environment that they were developed in, and also making sure that they're part of, let's say, a sustainable or fair working ecosystem. I know that companies like Mondelez and others have focused on how cocoa beans are developed into chocolate, and making sure that whole ecosystem is structured appropriately. So products like this can play a huge role in that. But Rossana, let me change gears a little bit and talk about how Authena has developed over the last 18 months. I mean, it's really kind of a huge part of the creation story of the company, I imagine. And I'm just curious how the pandemic has impacted what you guys have been developing and how this amazing idea has come to fruition.
Yeah, in the last 18 months, I would say that there has been quite, exciting also development, because we started from wine, but there was a pandemic and all the restaurants were closed, hotels were closed. So actually what we did was to provide, let's say, an entrance to the Swiss market for the small producer of good wine in Italy and Spain. But then, it was really not enough. And it was also, with the pandemic, we needed to go somewhere else. Then we started pivoted on other verticals, because, authenticating a product at single unit, and also saving on blockchain all the NGO different audit trail points. It's something that all sorts of industry are in need to do. Yeah. So then we had the pharma kicking in with the vaccine and all these things that started, unfortunately. We had also agrochemical. With Lonza is one of the, let's say, major press releases that you find on us, where in only in Brazil, with our solution, really they are fighting this counterfeit that it's not only a problem for the environment, but also for the farmers. Right. And and then we acquired customer in fragrances, where they have different needs. So in terms of engagement with the consumer, but also their product diversion. And product diversion is, in the past was always, an IP problem. But in reality, if you think in terms of all the effort that the brands are doing in sustainability, it's much more, because they invest in millions. And the fact that they cannot, maybe there is a fake product with their label going in the hands of the end consumer. This is a big damage, not only for the consumer himself, but also for the brand that is investing, because there is no big and fast return for your end consumer if you needed to have just a trial in the tribunal for years in order to prove that was fake. Yeah. So for us, it's very engaging, this cross-vertical solution, because we see that there are many commonality. Yeah, and the technology is mature.
Yeah, and it seems to me like it could be used for really kind of some of these business-to-business examples that you've highlighted, as well as business-to-consumer examples. Sure. So very flexible as well.
Yeah, and then, we, with our customer, we discover use cases that are really fascinating. Coming from the ERP world, where you have all sorts of tracking within the company. When your product goes out and changes ownership with the distributor and things like that, you lose track completely. Right. So there are big luxury items, a Swiss producer that have product that have high unit cost, but then they are not able to serve the customer when because everything is fragmented. They don't have a consolidated view of the inventory across all channels, and this is what we give. So what you see here, so there is this the seal, and there is the mobile app for the consumer, but then the other side of the framework is really a super powerful producer dashboard, where across the channel, wherever it is their product, they can really build all the full journey of the product. They can see if close to the customer there is something, and they can even use different status, reserved, sold, so that really I think that the US is already powerful because US is a very big nation across all states and have this overview, okay, it's within a country, but if you come to Europe, across a different country that we have, and even, you know, if you think to unify the whole reality for a distributor, but, you know, even the producer now want to sell this as a service to their distributor, so that they can become much more efficient in their net.
So just a kind of a functional question, Rossana. So if I were to use this, I essentially download an application to my mobile, and then essentially I can scan the item or the NFT based mark that will allow me to then pull that information, pull those examples up that you were showing before.
So yes, if you are an end consumer, you just downloaded the app. But then something needs to happen, because the product needs to be declared in the ecosystem. And you can identify if an NFC, when you scan it, is declared in the ecosystem, so you can see the product, etc., etc. In the case of the NFT, is even more fascinating, because you have a digital product that you have acquired. And for example, we have told you briefly about these fragrances, a limited number of fragrances for Christmas, but we have also some wine producer and distributor that want to release before Christmas some en-primeur wines. That they will bottle just in May or June, later in the year. And they wanted to give it to their customer, the one that have acquired this, let's say, reserved ownership of the bottle. They want to give something that is initially very, you know, piece of paper of with a special seal. And then later they want to ship this bottle with the tag, so that everybody can really verify what they have acquired several months, if not years before, is what they are receiving.
Oh, that's
great. And I think that this combination is quite appealing, because then what happened during these months is that this connection point between the consumer and the producer is quite special. They can show video about the bottling of the bottle. They can show, you know, the place where the grapes were harvested since the beginning. So the different phases of the preparation of the wine. It becomes really a completely different experience for us.
Yeah, no, I can see this as being really a transformational way that people can be participant, as well as authenticate the product, but also the experience of the product and how it has gone through the phases. We've seen companies that produce fruit products in Europe and in America, just authenticating, where a strawberry comes from is very, very useful, right? How old is it? How is it developed? So I love ideas like this, because it has an incredible functional role, but also a wonderful marketing role as well, and a story-based role. So Rossana, as you look at the industry going forward, what are your hopes for the future of the business and what you guys are working on?
I really hope that, in this post-pandemic restart, there is a little bit more willingness to really make an impact to the world, to the consumer. Before, I think that it's normal that we have this sense of contributing to the world. But after pandemic, I think the pandemic, with all the things that we have seen surrounding us, they have created even more of a need to make something that is meaningful for really the people. If I think that in this way we can help a brand to show that they are not having child labor, that they are not providing funding to terrorists. I think that as a consumer, I would prefer to buy a chocolate or whatever, really, from a brand that is much more conscious about
Yeah.
their role in the society, instead of paying less for something that it's debatable.
Yeah,
I
no,
really would like to see this happening, huh?
yeah. I
More.
think you're spot on. And the good thing is, I believe that you are part of a movement, a broad movement. There are, these organizations like B Corp, where companies are essentially providing a certification of whether they are sustainable businesses or have good business practices. And I really feel like your product actually takes that whole movement forward to the next level, which is really kind of true authentication, true tracking, and making people that really believe in building this more sustainable world have that technological support.
And what we see is that, our customers are in a different stage of this transparency. We call it also radical transparency journey. And what we offer them is really a fast track to make this more visible and consumable for their consumer.
Yeah.
So it's, having all this certification is certainly the right thing to do. But then, if they are not easy to be accessible for the end consumer, or if they are, locked in some internal repository in the company, they are not of any use. And what we want is really to give them a way to directly link to their product.
I love it. Well, Rossana, if someone wanted to learn more about what you and the company are working on, where should they find you?
Me in LinkedIn. I think that LinkedIn is the perfect place, also with the chat messages and on our website, authena.io.
Excellent. Well, we've been speaking with Rossana Ricco-Rodgers. She is a chief marketing officer at Authena. She also is a board member. It's a fast-growing Swiss startup dedicated to protecting brands' products and reputation against counterfeiting and product diversion. They have an innovative technology suite to offer unique end-to-end frameworks for tracking in real time and verifying products and their authenticity, using all of the critical technology, the non-fungible tokens, the NFTs, to make that possible. Rossana, thank you so much for talking to us today and sharing the Authena story. We're really excited to see how this develops in the future. And I'd love to have one of those bottle of wine. That sounds great. An authenticated bottle of wine. Sounds very, very cool. So,
give me your address. We will send it to you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Bant. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Cheers.